Coffee and the prostate, discovering the positive, the negative, and the real. Imagine this scene. It's early morning, and the unmistakable aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the kitchen. A steaming cup is poured, you take that first sip that warms the soul, and immediately a wave of energy runs through your body. It is a habit shared by millions of people around the world, a kind of spark that allows us to start the day with more clarity and enthusiasm. However, if you are a man who has ever worried about the health of your prostate, you might have wondered, is that morning coffee helping or harming my body, particularly my prostate? As a urology specialist with over a decade of clinical experience, I have treated a large number of patients who come with questions about what they consume, concerned about the impact these habits may have on their prostate. And of all the drinks we discuss in consultations, coffee undoubtedly takes first place. Some fear that it might worsen urinary symptoms or promote the development of problems such as benign prostatic hyperplasia, also known as BPH, or even prostate cancer. Others, on the contrary, argue that coffee could act as a protective shield, citing studies that mention antioxidants and compounds with anti-inflammatory effects. It is no surprise that there is so much confusion about it. Coffee is a fascinating beverage containing over 1,000 chemical substances. Some of these seem to offer benefits, while others can be problematic depending on a person's health status. If you have ever looked for a clear answer to guide you on whether to continue enjoying your usual cup or consider a decaffeinated option, here you will find a precise guide. In this discussion, I will share what science truly reveals about the connection between coffee and the prostate. We will review possible benefits, potential drawbacks, and how to enjoy this drink without compromising your well-being. The love story with coffee is universal. Before diving into the scientific evidence on how it affects the prostate, it is worth pausing to consider why coffee is so cherished around the world. From the bustling cafes of New York City to cozy breakfast corners in Buenos Aires, coffee unites cultures and crosses borders. In many places, it is not just about the caffeine boost. It is also a ritual full of social meaning. We sit with friends to share a cup, or we gift ourselves a moment of calm before facing a busy day. However, for men who feel concern about their prostate health, this daily habit raises questions. Does coffee intensify my discomfort? Should I reduce the amount to avoid consequences? These questions often linger persistently. Fortunately, science has spent many years analyzing these concerns, and today we have solid data that allow us to distinguish between myths and realities. Why is the prostate so important? It may not be the largest organ in the body, but its function is crucial for male health. This small, walnut-shaped gland sits just below the bladder and surrounds the urethra, the channel that carries urine outside the body. Over time, the prostate can increase in size, a situation known as BPH. It can also become inflamed, called prostatitis, or develop cancer. Common symptoms include difficulty urinating, constant urgency, increased urinary frequency, or pelvic pain. Since these conditions directly affect men's quality of life, any factor that influences the prostate, whether beneficial or risky, deserves our full attention. This is where coffee comes into play. The complex chemistry of coffee. If you have ever felt that sudden boost after drinking a cup, you already know the effect of caffeine. But coffee is more than just caffeine. In fact, each serving contains over 1,000 different compounds, including antioxidants and polyphenol. The scientific community has been particularly interested in understanding how these elements interact with the body. First, antioxidants. These molecules help counteract oxidative stress, a process in which unstable particles called free radicals damage cells. Chronic oxidative stress is known to be involved in multiple diseases, including prostate cancer. The antioxidants in coffee, such as chlorogenic acid, may help reduce this cellular damage. Second, polyphenol. These are plant-derived substances with potential anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer effects. Polyphenol influence insulin sensitivity, metabolic health, and overall inflammation levels in the body. Since persistent inflammation is a risk factor for many diseases, including various prostate conditions, anything that helps reduce it can be considered protective. Third, caffeine. Caffeine is undoubtedly the most recognized component of coffee, whether you love it or not. It activates the central nervous system, improves mood, and keeps us alert. However, as we will see, it can also cause less favorable effects on certain organs, such as the bladder and prostate, especially if consumed in excess. Scientific perspectives. Possible benefits. The first potential benefit is a possible reduction in the risk of advanced prostate cancer. One of the most hopeful findings in medical research suggests that moderate coffee consumption could slightly decrease the likelihood of developing advanced or aggressive prostate cancer. A study published in the journal Cancer Causes and Control found that men who drank between 1 and 3 cups daily had a lower incidence of aggressive prostate tumors. Experts suspect this effect is related to the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds present in the drink. The second benefit is anti-inflammatory effects. Prostate inflammation can worsen problems like chronic prostatitis or accelerate the progression of benign prostatic hyperplasia. Since coffee contains substances capable of moderating inflammatory pathways, it may provide a certain level of protection. It is important to remember, however, that these benefits seem most noticeable when consumption is kept moderate. The third benefit is support for metabolic health. Another fascinating aspect of coffee is its link to metabolic diseases, particularly type 2 diabetes. Several studies have shown that moderate coffee intake is associated with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In turn, this condition increases the likelihood of experiencing prostate alterations, including BPH. In this way, by promoting metabolic balance, coffee could indirectly contribute to prostate care. Now, the flip side of the coin. Possible risks and drawbacks. Although studies point out advantages, we should not ignore that coffee can also bring complications, especially in men who already face prostate issues. This is where moderation becomes a key factor. First, irritation and inflammation. Caffeine acts as a stimulant and a natural diuretic. It increases urine production in the kidneys, which can be uncomfortable for those who suffer from benign prostatic hyperplasia or an overactive bladder. You may notice more frequent urgency to go to the bathroom or a weaker urine flow if you already have urinary symptoms. In addition, excessive coffee consumption can irritate both the bladder and the prostate, increasing discomfort in cases of chronic prostatitis. Second, too much caffeine. What initially seems positive can quickly turn into a problem. Exceeding 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, the approximate equivalent of 4 or 5 regular cups of coffee, can overload the body. In certain men, this causes nervousness, insomnia, or digestive discomfort. When the urinary tract is already affected by BPH or prostatitis, accumulating this much caffeine can worsen symptoms. Third, impact on sleep. Nighttime rest is the foundation of overall health and directly influences the immune system's ability to defend the body. Poor sleep can intensify persistent inflammation, indirectly affecting prostate health. If you usually drink coffee late in the afternoon or evening, you risk disrupting your sleep cycle, which translates into more inflammation, increased irritability, and accumulated fatigue. Variations in impact. Why does coffee affect people differently? It is important to emphasize that the effects of coffee on the prostate vary from person to person. Several factors determine how coffee acts in your body. First, genetics. Some people, due to genetic predisposition, metabolize caffeine more slowly. This slower process can intensify negative effects on the urinary system. Genetics also influence the likelihood of developing prostate diseases, making coffee's impact more evident in some men. Second, overall diet. If you frequently consume heavily seasoned foods, alcohol, or processed products, your bladder may already be irritated. Adding coffee to this combination can be the perfect trigger to accentuate symptoms. Third, frequency and timing. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach can cause acidity or acid reflux in some people, which can also worsen urinary discomfort. Fourth, pre-existing conditions. In cases of chronic prostatitis, overactive bladder, or advanced benign prostatic hyperplasia, even moderate coffee intake can aggravate symptoms. Recognizing signs of excessive consumption. For men who already suffer from urinary problems, these are some indications that coffee could be fueling discomfort. frequent urination. Having to go to the bathroom multiple times during the day and night can be exhausting. Although this is often common with aging, coffee's diuretic effect can worsen it. Urgent need to urinate. That sudden, pressing sensation of needing a bathroom immediately can become more intense with high caffeine intake. Weak urine flow. BPH already narrows the urinary tract, slowing urine output. Adding the irritating effect of coffee can make the situation even more uncomfortable. Pelvic pain. Constant irritation can intensify any existing discomfort in that area. If you notice that these symptoms worsen after drinking coffee, it may be time to reconsider your habits. Enjoying coffee responsibly. Practical advice. Giving up coffee completely can be difficult, especially if it is part of your daily routine or social gatherings. The good news is that it is not always necessary to eliminate it entirely. There are strategies that allow you to take care of your prostate while still enjoying the taste of your favorite drink. First, moderate consumption. Limit yourself to 1 or 2 cups per day. If you crave something warm in the afternoon or evening, choose herbal infusions or low-caffeine beverages. Second, try decaffeinated coffee. Decaf retains a good amount of beneficial antioxidants, but with much less stimulating content. If you love the taste of coffee but want to reduce the impact of caffeine, this alternative can be an excellent balance. Third, accompany coffee with food. Drinking it alongside a meal or a small snack helps soften its impact on the stomach and bladder. This can reduce acidity and irritation. Fourth, consider the temperature. Extremely hot beverages can irritate the mouth, throat, and even the urinary tract. Allow coffee to cool slightly before drinking. Fifth, maintain good hydration. Coffee's diuretic effect can make you lose fluids more quickly. To counter possible dehydration, make sure to drink enough water throughout the day. Sixth, control timing. Avoid consuming coffee in the late afternoon or evening, as it can disrupt nighttime rest, and poor sleep promotes inflammation and increases stress levels. Natural remedies and lifestyle habits for a healthy prostate. Coffee represents only one piece of a broader picture. If you want to optimize prostate health or at least reduce risks, it is useful to integrate other natural remedies and wellness routines into your daily life. Beneficial supplements and foods. Serenoa repens. Frequently used for BPH, it may help relieve urinary symptoms by reducing prostate inflammation. Pumpkin seeds. Rich in zinc and antioxidants, they have long been considered a natural support for prostate function. Green tea. This infusion is packed with catechins, powerful antioxidants that can protect cells and reduce inflammation. Turmeric. Its active compound, curcumin, has proven anti-inflammatory properties. General wellness habits. First, maintain a balanced diet. Include a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Reduce processed foods and sugary treats, which can stimulate inflammation and worsen prostate problems. Second, exercise regularly. Physical activity helps maintain a healthy weight, improves cardiovascular health, and is linked to better outcomes in men with prostate conditions. Third, moderate alcohol consumption and avoid smoking. Overuse of these substances increases inflammation and raises the risk of several types of cancer, including those affecting the prostate. Fourth, undergo regular medical checkups. Starting at age 50 or earlier if there is a family history, it is recommended to schedule prostate screenings and discuss detection options with your doctor. A brief consultation story. To show how these recommendations work in practice, I want to share an experience with names and details modified for confidentiality. One of my patients, whom I'll call Michael, was 56 years old and worked long hours at a computer, always accompanied by several cups of coffee. He came in concerned about frequent urination and mild pelvic discomfort. After a thorough evaluation, we discovered that he had early-stage BPH. The first strategy was to adjust his caffeine intake. Instead of drinking 5 to 6 cups daily, we suggested limiting it to 1 in the morning and choosing herbal teas or decaffeinated coffee in the afternoon. We also recommended increasing water intake, reducing late-night snacks, and adding moderate walks to his routine. After a few weeks, Michael reported fewer trips to the bathroom and feeling much more comfortable. By simply adjusting his consumption habits and making a few lifestyle changes, he experienced significant relief without having to give up his cherished morning cup. And this is the key. Small changes sustained over time can transform your well-being. Caring for your prostate does not mean giving up what you enjoy, but learning to find balance. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Take care of your health, listen to your body, and remember that every choice counts. See you in the next video.